Are Hawaiians still looking 7 generations into the future?
That's what the basic bottom line was, yeah. And so when you start to think like that, it's your responsibility. Like in my age, I'm 80 now, yeah. So I'm like kupuna status. So what is my responsibility? My responsibility is to make sure that we can take care of future generations down the road. I feel that real strongly.
Welcome to Richard Haw's YouTube channel, which looks at what we can do today to make Hawaii Island a more sustainable place to live, so our children and grandchildren and their grandchildren won't be priced out of here and will be able to stay in Hawaii and live good lives here. Today, Richard, we're going to talk about geothermal. We'll get into more specifics, but first let's talk about why is this important? Why do you care about this issue?
You know, when you talk about geothermal, you kind of focus on energy, but energy for the sake of energy doesn't come to a result that matters to future generations. And in my case, I'm focusing entirely on this bill for the whole session. I'm not looking at many other things. And the reason for it is because energy does work. The most basic form of energy is food. And we're so vulnerable sitting out here in the middle of the Pacific, largest ocean in the world. And that's why I want to talk about how we're going to make ourselves food secure, or at least get to a structure where we're focusing on that.
Okay, so that makes good sense. So you're saying it all ends up talking about food. We import so much of our food. We need to get to the point where we can make a lot more of it. So we need energy, and geothermal is a way that is available to us. There's a really straightforward path to doing it, and it will make us not only more food secure, but it will make our people more able to do other things and live a more sustainable life. Do I have that right?
Yeah, exactly. There are three different bills. The one I'm talking about is SB 1269. And that one is the one that gives us the ability to bring everybody together under the DBED&T. Department of Business, Economic Development and Tourism. What that does is there's a whole bunch of different interaction that needs to go on. It's not just one thing. You need to ask the county, well, how do you think you fit? What are your concerns? So you need to ask different organizations how they fit into this larger picture. That's why this particular bill is important, because it allows that. It's not so narrowly focused.
Okay, so tell me more about that. What kind of organizations and how might they fit into this?
Well, like I said, you know, if you are talking about food security and you're talking about geothermal energy, you have to ask the county, what are the different things that you're concerned about if we're focusing on that? And the DBED&T will do that, talk to the various different organizations that come into this picture.
I see. So you're taking a bigger picture. You're saying everyone is just talking about should we do geothermal? You're backing up and you're saying we need to be looking at how are we going to get the energy to make our food? You're stepping back, and that's not really the focus, the way people are thinking about it right now.
Yeah, and I come at this from what my pop told us kids when I was 10 years old. He said, find two answers for every problem and one more just in case. And then when you're starting to look at alternatives and you're taking the broader picture, look, you've got to make sure that all the options are based in facts or doable, because then the end result that you come to will be valid. If you're basing it on misinformation or not facts, then your end results might not be valid. It goes way back to basic Hawaiian values, yeah, coming down through generations through my pop, yeah.
Right. So when is that bill being heard? The one
Well,
you're
it's
talking.
going on now. Yeah, it's going to the various different committees. I think they went through two committees already. And so they're going to start moving it forward, going to the other committees that need to hear it. And then finally they'll come to a vote. And like I said, there are three different bills. And this one is the one that gives us the most flexibility to actually get to the end result we want, which is food security for future generations. Let's say you're talking about geothermal and you're only talking about exploring. Okay, so you get the information and you say, well, it's located here and there, and these are different places, and we got to do this stuff and get information. Yeah, what do you do with the information after that? What are you trying to achieve? Not just drill holes. And I find it so very interesting that the Hawaiians used to look 7 generations down the road. You know, 7 generations is 25 years a generation is 100 and what? 175 years down the road? I mean, it's so far down the road, and we're coming to a place that we need to start to really focus on that, because I went to the first Peak Oil conference back in 2007. So what, 17 years ago. And at that first conference, I knew we were relying on a finite resource, which was basically oil. And like I said, I was the only person from Hawaii to have attended 5 of those conferences. It became increasingly clear that this is a finite resource we're talking about. It's not going to last forever. How long it's going to last, we don't know. But what we do know is we got to start planning. And now, as you look around at what's going on in the world, it's starting to feel real uncomfortable. Like 5 years from now, if we don't do the right thing now, we might be in trouble. 10 years from now, but it's becoming clearer on the horizon that we got to do something.
What do you say to people now? Some of the places that they want to drill for is on Hawaiian homelands, and there's some opposition to that. People are worrying about health concerns, toxic substances going into the soil and the water. What do you say to them? Do you worry about those things?
Those are all scientific stuff that you talk to the right people, they'll tell you if it's true or not. Anybody can say anything. Oh, it releases this and that in the air. Yeah, well, let's find out. People actually know that. But here's the thing. We have 5 volcanoes on Hawaii Island. Kohala is the oldest, and then Kilauea is the youngest. Now, Kilauea and Mauna Loa, they have erupted very recently in geological time. And it's risky because if you're in the wrong place, it covers you up. But there are other places like Mauna Kea, Kohala Mountains, Hualalai. There are other alternatives. But then if you start to think, okay, what would help us position future generations the best way we possibly can? Well, what happened if we got to a place where we could generate hydrogen? Now, everybody wants to generate hydrogen, but they're using natural gas and other finite resources for the most part to generate hydrogen. We can actually generate hydrogen from a source that'll last for 1 million to 2 million years here on Hawaii Island. And on the northeast slopes of Mauna Kea, where the northeast trades push up against Mauna Kea, we have about 16, at least 16 that we know of, perpetual streams that are running steadily from the rain that drops as the northeast trades push on the mountains. So in other words, we have free water. So now what do you need to make hydrogen? You need cheap electricity or stable electricity. I shouldn't say cheap. Cheap is relative, but stable cost electricity. And stable cost electricity based on heat that is free for 1 million years. If we start now, we can get stable electricity. Then if we had free water to run the electricity through, what rises from that is hydrogen and oxygen. We can get hydrogen based on free heat and free water. Now, how many places in the world have that ability? We're extremely lucky, but hardly anybody ever talks about that. We're talking about renewable energy. Let's burn eucalyptus and stuff like that. We need to seriously have a discussion about this looking down the road because we actually can do it.
Talk about what would we do with that hydrogen? How would that help us?
Well, hydrogen is a fuel source that is completely removed from fossil fuel in our particular case. So let's take planes, for example, that fly back and forth. We're relying on fossil fuel. If you were to rely on hydrogen for that, that's not fossil fuel. It'll last for, who knows, 1 million years. So if you're talking about trying to do something that's beneficial for who we're calling Kyoki and Malia,
future children of Hawaii, and as they grow up and have more generation.
Then we'll give them a better option for their future.
Yeah, what a gift. And so when you say, I want to also just clarify, when you say this will last for 1 million years, that's because of our energy from the volcano. We're expected that we are over that hot spot that's creating the volcanic energy for up to or 1 million years or more, something like that. Literally, that's a scientific idea.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
How do we get people to think about this in a bigger picture, I wonder?
Well, that's what I've been trying to do from 2007.
It really could be amazing. Hawaii could be on the forefront of a lot of things and just doing amazing things for our people now and for our people in the future. But it really would take some vision and some moving forward in different ways. That's the key right there, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And if we focus on what can we do for future generations? And for all of us who call Hawaii home, we're made up of all kinds of races who live here. It's for all of us, everybody who calls Hawaii home. At the same time, we don't want to have outside organizations coming here, putting up the money and extracting all the value out of Hawaii. We have to be very careful of that too. There are a lot of things that we need to do, which the Department of Business, Economic Development, and Tourism can make sure that we take care of that part.
Right. So the discussion about some of these geothermal points could be on Hawaiian homelands. That's just one option, right? And there's a benefit to that if we were to do that, in that that would be creating money that would go back to the people that lived on those lands. It would be an income stream for for them. But that's just one option. So if it doesn't work out that way, they can be located elsewhere in places that make sense as well.
Absolutely. Yes, yes. This is a far out idea. You know, Pepe Kale, where we have the farm, it's on a point. And if you look at the point, you'll see that there are cinecones, which tells you that there's heat underneath there. What if we look for geothermal there? And you had geothermal there, and you had the water there, and you had the land there, and you had all the different things that could help with food security. You know, even, stuff like there's that Makea bridge, which is a temporary bridge. If they made it permanent, then they would have to block it off and have an alternative. That alternative would be to run the road through our farm and back around and out. And if you did it that way, then you could have a place where you could collect food. You could have a place where you could process bamboo, make them into lumber. If you could replace lumber, you don't have to bring the lumber in. See, the thing is, you also got to change your way of farmers doing business. In order for farmers to stay in business, they have to make money. There's no question about it. I think that what we need is multiple income streams. We're a small place with, different terrain and stuff like that. We're not set up to do massive volume. So what we need is an alternative. How about multiple income streams? So maybe you go and grow so much bamboo to get processed. And then, you could do indoor agriculture. We were doing hydroponics out there on the farm, and it's easy to do. And you could just send your kids out, go check the water. It doesn't take very much, In the meantime, the parents could be doing other things. So then you would be demonstrating is that it would be profitable to have a multiple income stream operation that the kids look at and say, this is doable. If the kids can see the value of it, I'm sure a whole bunch of them would be receptive to doing something like this. Right now we tend to get on the cases of the kids and say, they're always on their iPhone, that's all they care about and stuff like that. Well, they don't see a future in farming. If the farmer don't make money, the farmer not go farm. So the kids are not stupid. To me, if you show them a way, they will do it.
And so geothermal is one big part of that. You have a really great way of looking at the future and how it could be. We need to make you emperor.
No.
No, but your visions are so amazing, and it's really something to hear how you see it. Not everybody looks at it that way, but it clearly could make this place such a stronger place. And like we say in the beginning of these vlogs, a place where our kids and our grandkids could stay and live really good lives instead of scrambling to make a living.
Yeah. Yeah. And as time goes on, we meet more and more similar thinking people. More and more people are starting to feel like what we're talking about. So that's pretty exciting to me.
Are you optimistic?
Well, yeah, I am.
Well, I think that's great, Richard. And I hope more and more people hear these ideas and start working towards them and carrying them into the future, because I like the way you think. I think you could really help us all make a stronger Hawaii. So thank you. That was really interesting. And everyone, thanks for watching. We will be back in 2 weeks with another episode of Richard Ha's vlog. Ahui ho.
Okay.